Good evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. Today, for 5, we're going to be doing 5 decks that are going to make an impact after the ban list. These are my thoughts after the ban list. And yes, Noble Knights are still here, mainly because Noble Knights have received indirect support from Reinforcement of Army at 2. Let's get down to the actual effects, or what Noble Knights actually do. Noble Knights are based off of the Knights of the Round Table, such as Arthur and Arthur. I really didn't read the story, but if you guys would like to read the story, I suggest it because I'm pretty sure it's a really good story. And with that being said, they also are based off of their real game mechanic as equipped spell cards. Now, Noble Knights gain appropriate effects from the equipped spell cards, and their monster effects typically tend to trigger once they're equipped to an equipped spell card. Namely, Noble Knight Madolche being the heart and soul of the deck, special summoning Noble Knights and then doing all this and doing all that and making your Noble Knight Artigerous play. The deck is just really good, and the only problem with it is consistency and maybe just a little bit more of other support or other things that the deck could do. With that being said, Reinforcement of the Army to 2 has reinforced this deck. It's just made it a lot better. I feel that the deck is definitely a really good deck and a contender if it ever gets that consistency, which is gonna be soon, obviously, with Reinforcements of the Army, and then in next format, I believe in November, they're gonna get some more support on top of the billions of support that they've already had. Next is gonna be Heretic. Now, Heretic, really good deck, not only because the deck can OTK you at any given time, but because the deck has a couple of quantities that make them be able to play anti-meta, quote-unquote, as well as OTK potential. Heretics are a dragon deck based off of tributing each other, and once they're tributed, you get to special summon a normal dragon from your deck, hand, or graveyard to the field. That being said, this deck is extremely fast-paced. It makes so many plays, it's not even funny. If you max see me, I can deck you out. That's how fast-paced this deck is. But I want to say the biggest thing that makes this deck really good is the fact that it can run Skill Drain. Now, you put that with any deck. If you put any good deck that can run Skill Drain in the main board with no problems, and you think about all of the Tier 1 decks right now, Madolche, Hats, not Girgia, Merman, this deck can handle them. Skill Drain can single-handedly handle them. Now, you add on the fact that can OTK you and a whole bunch of other things. This deck is poised to make an impact. Somebody's going to pick this deck up and make it really good, like you guys have seen in the deck challenge that I have done. Next is going to be Evols. Now, anytime you can summon Lagia Dolka with X amount of back row to protect Lagia and Dolka or to stop your opponent from getting over Lagia and Dolka, you win the game. And not only that, just like what I said with Heretic, summoning Dolka to the field and negating your opponent's monster's crucial effects is game right there. It's nothing really your opponent could do. The deck is just that good. It kind of reminds me of Dino Rabbit, but less of a mash of good cards. Evils is actually a deck type. That being said, their trap card is amazing. The only thing you need is an evil tile and an Evilswarm monster in the graveyard to make an Xe with 2 material. That's really good, and nobody can really take that away from them. This deck is poised to make an impact just because it does play similar to Gladiator Beast, like it does say on the Wikipedia, and it does have that anti-meta feel like Gladiator Beast, as well as being able to take away things from your opponent. Really makes it a really good deck. Now, this Madolche's have been extremely disappointing over the past couple of months since Angelia's came out to me. Now, the reason why I say this deck has been disappointing is because the hype around this deck is it was going to be tier 1, period. Just period. Nothing else can touch this deck. And it's kind of falling flat on expectations. Now, don't get this deck wrong. Madolche's are still really good. They're based, pun intended, because, you know, they're kind of food. But, this deck is still really good, and it's based off of when they're destroyed, they go back to the deck. I don't really know what to tell you. I really couldn't tell you how else I could find that out together. They have so many little things about them that I can go on forever, about them being puzzle pieces, about them being food, about their names, about them going back to the deck, about them going to the hand. It's just, I don't even want to talk about it. But let's get on to what the deck can do. Madolche's can still make Tiramisu. Tiramisu is a big, either 2200 or 2700 big monster that doesn't target and recycles cards to your hand, as well as special summon cards from your deck. And the reason why I'm saying that is because 9 times out of 10, if you're a good Madolche player, you're going to find a way to get Shaddoll, or Chateau, I'm sorry, you're going to find a way to get Chateau and Ticket to the field and then activate Tiramisu and just get some really crazy combos out. This deck has a mixture of control and OTK. If any of the monsters are destroyed, they go to your hand, so it doesn't really stop your plays. And even with Mirror Force at 3, this deck still has no fear. I really think it's a contender, mainly because, like I said, it can send monsters to the deck and not destroy. Madolche players are definitely evolving, finding better ways to make this deck even more unstoppable. And now we're going to get to the last deck, which will be Shaddoll's when they release. I got to give it to Konami. I have to take my hat off to them. They found a way to make flip effects and fusions good in one deck. If I would have told you guys this before Shaddoll's release, you guys would have looked at me like, you're stupid. That doesn't even make sense. That deck's horrible. But Shaddoll's are definitely that. Shaddoll's are basically, like what I said, based off of fusions and flip effects. Their effects are really, really good, as well as their fusion monsters. And they create certain type of mismatches where if your opponent does special summon from the extra deck, they're practically screwed. If they don't, then Shaddoll's might have a harder time. But they seem, if you ask me, Shaddoll's don't seem to have a lot of hype around them, and they haven't really proven themselves. Kind of like what Artifacts did when they came out in the TCG. They had a lot of hype around them, but they're not that great. So Shaddoll's hopefully will follow that same trend and not be the best deck of the format. Unrestricted tier 1 deck. Hopefully just one of those tier 1 decks, but other decks can compete with. They don't seem that strong. They seem pretty balanced. I played them myself. Don't get me wrong, it's still a really good deck, but they don't seem, oh my god, it's amazing yet. I'm still waiting for them to see some type of exclusive support, some exclusive stuff, or maybe something that Konami did hit in the ban list to address them. But as for right now, they're just a really, really good deck, poised to make an impact of the format. With that being said, thank you guys for watching another segment of the Cali Effect. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy.